Hey everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to give you 25 more ways that you can live low waste completely for free, whether that be time-wise, money-wise, or both. So if you're new here, this is actually the 5th video I have in this series of free ways to live zero waste. And that's literally all that this series is it is focused on showing you that there are small ways that you can make a big impact throughout your daily life. You don't have to give up flying, you don't have to give up meat, all this stuff to be considered low waste. You really don't even have to give yourself a label at all. But if you are new to the low waste, zero waste, sustainable living movement, I wanted to provide you with some easy ways that you can live low waste for free, because I think that is very important. I think people think that the zero waste movement is hard, the zero waste movement is expensive, and the zero waste movement is only for a select few people who really want to try really hard to reduce their impact. But that's just not true. And that's the big goal of this channel that I've created, is to show you that you can live low waste for free. It can be easy, it can be fun, and it can be for everyone. So I'm not saying that you have to implement all 25 of these ways, but I just wanted to give you these ideas so that you can brainstorm for yourself. Like I said, if you are new here, don't forget to check out the full series. I will leave it linked up here as well as down below. I already have 100 ways broken out in 4 different videos, each with 25 tips. Let me know if you guys would like to see a full-length video with all 100 ways, because I can easily compile that to make one video, make it easier to watch. But I personally like the smaller, easier to digest videos. So before we dive in, I want to let you know that I can talk a little bit fast. I am well aware. So if that's a bother for you, you can actually use the gear icon right here to change the speed of this video, something that best suits you. And then one last thing, if you have any other free ways that you live low waste that I have not mentioned yet in this series or in this video, definitely leave them down below, because I'd love to include you in the next video. I have 25 more tips ready for a 6th video in this series, but I would love to keep this series going as long as possible, and I would really appreciate your guys' help making that video happen. So with all that out of the way, let's jump right into these 25 ways that you can live zero waste for free. Okay, so we're starting off the first one by breaking my rules a little bit. You know, my rules of either free money or free time. So this one isn't necessarily free, but it balances itself out. And what I mean is, instead of buying tea bags, buy loose leaf tea, because it really is the same cost. You might even spend a little bit less money on loose leaf tea, who knows? And then you can even thrift, find something secondhand to steep your tea, whether it be a French press, one of those little ball things, even a small linen bag will do as well. But this saves so much waste because most tea bags are actually made partially out of plastic, so they cannot be composted, they cannot be recycled because they contain food waste. So all those tea bags have to end up in the landfill. So the best thing that you can do as a consumer is to purchase loose leaf tea instead. Next, this one is very simple, and that is to just turn off outside lights when not in use. It really bothers me because nobody's outside, you know, between like 11 p.m. and like 4 a.m. So why do we need those outside lights on? Whether it be your garage, your porch, your patio, just make sure all those are turned off when nobody's using them. Next is to join Facebook groups. I know I've mentioned this a few times, whether in this series or just on my channel in general, but this one specifically, my friend Jessie actually created a sustainable swap group. It's not gonna happen. But say for example, I don't want my water bottle anymore. I can be like, hey, getting rid of this water bottle, I would like to swap a pair of sandals for it or something. Or you can just encourage people in your neighborhood, like, hey, instead of putting all of that good furniture out with your trash, maybe post it on Facebook and list it for free instead. So just encourage people in your neighborhood to not throw away valuable items and instead at least post them for free on Facebook Marketplace. If not, even encourage them to sell them, because I've mentioned this several times on my channel too. Money is a real big encourager for people, which is why I'm creating this series, but also making money. If you can show someone that they can make money by living low waste, they're gonna live low waste. Even if it's something as simple as like, I don't like this painting anymore, I'm gonna sell it, instead of I'm gonna throw it in the garbage. That's the point of this one. Encourage people to quit throwing good stuff in the garbage and utilize Facebook as a place to do that. This is something that I was taught from a very young age, and I'm sure every person out there already does this, but if you don't, use plastic grocery bags as small trash bags. We all forget our reusable bags every now and then, or someone brings us something in a plastic bag. But I still get one every now and then. So, do I have my trash can? My trash can is in here somewhere. But what I do is I have little trash cans for our bedrooms, for the bathroom, for cat litter, and then I use plastic grocery bags for that. So that way I'm repurposing the grocery bag, as well as I don't have to buy brand new small trash bags. If you have an abundance of plastic grocery bags and you want some more things to do with them, something else you can do is to use them for traveling. whether this be to store wet swimsuits in, or you can store dirty shoes in them. They're just great. I always throw a few in my bag, whether we're going on a day trip, a weekend trip, or a full-length vacation. I always throw plastic bags in there because they always come in handy. No matter what, you can use them for dirty laundry, if you want to collect seashells or something. It's always great to have an extra bag with you, so I recommend you bring one when you travel. So definitely take advantage of repurposing them instead of just throwing them away. Something really funny that I've noticed myself doing when coming up for ideas for this series is that some of them are very easy, like use a plastic grocery bag for your trash can. Very accessible, very normal. I don't know what to call it. Some of these are very specific, very weird, very like, why would you even think of that? That's so random. And that's this next one. I do this a lot because I live over here in Japan, so I have to send gifts home to the US for family and stuff. If I'm sending them a box and the box is, say, already addressed to my mom, and I include a card in there or a letter or something, I'm not gonna also put her name on the envelope because she knows the box is for her. Does that make sense? So the purpose of doing this is so that she receives a blank envelope and she can repurpose that envelope for something else. Literally the most random small thing, but it really does save paper, it saves envelopes. She can repurpose that envelope for something else. Same with a gift bag. Even if I'm just handing a gift bag to somebody, my friend, I'm handing a gift bag to my friend. She knows that gift is for her. So if I include a card inside the bag, I'm not gonna put her name on the card or on the envelope because she knows it's already for her. And then she can repurpose that envelope too. Super random, super tiny details, but it's a free way to live low waste nonetheless. When you're boiling water on the stove, whether it be to make tea, to boil noodles, boil rice, whatever it may be, boil the correct amount. And what I mean is, don't boil an entire kettle of water if you're only making 1 cup of tea. So say for example, your kettle holds 4 cups of water. It's gonna take a lot more energy, a lot more time too, to boil that entire kettle of water. When instead, you just need 1 cup of water. Just measure out your water in your mug, dump it into the kettle, and then it'll take so much less energy, so much less time even, to get you your boiling water. So this one saves you time as well as saves you energy, which in turn saves you money. If you want to learn more ways to save energy, you can watch this video up here. It'll also be linked down below. Another great tip when it comes to boiling water, so many boiling water tips, is to put the lid on the pot. So when you're boiling a big pot of water for your noodles, it takes forever, it seems. It actually takes a lot less time if you put the lid on the pot. That is because the energy can't escape, the heat can't escape, so therefore it takes less time to get that water boiling. And of course, because it takes less time, that means it takes less energy to get it to that boiling point. Another kitchen related tip is to just use the microwave instead. So the order of energy consuming items is oven is the most consuming, then the stove, then the microwave. So if you have a microwave, definitely use that over the other two if you can. I mean, obviously you can't like bake cookies in the microwave, you can't boil noodles in the microwave. I mean, I guess you can with a lot of time and determination. But what I mean is, if something is easily microwavable, don't use a stove or oven if you can help it. The next tip I have is to properly recycle. It's that simple. I've made so many videos on my channel about recycling. I've got an entire series I'll leave linked up here as well as down below about where our waste goes. And then at the end of this month, I'll be releasing a video about where our e-waste goes. But anyway, it's just very important to recycle properly because if you put something that has food waste in your recycle bin or your bag, that entire batch can go to landfill. Say for example, I want to recycle my water bottle. This most likely cannot be picked up in my curbside recycling, so I need to find out where I can properly recycle this. Basically what it comes down to is know what you can and cannot recycle. I have videos on that as well. And don't put dirty, gross things in your recycle bin just because that really reduces its chance of being recycled. And recycling rates are already so low, so we need to do what we can as consumers, as citizens of the earth, to make sure that our recycling has the best chance of being recycled as possible. Remember how I was talking about very random ways that I personally live low waste? This is another one. I cooked with canned foods a lot. We don't have really access to dried beans or fresh corn, fresh peas, that stuff like that. So I get a lot of that canned. I also like to saute a lot of vegetables. If you didn't know, I am vegan, so my diet is 80% vegetables. I don't know what it actually is. When I saute vegetables, I don't use oil because you don't need to. So usually when I saute vegetables, I'll use a splash of water to keep it from sticking to the bottom. But I took it another step further, and instead of using fresh water, I just use the liquid from a can of peas or a can of chickpeas or a can of corn, because that water, that liquid's gonna get dumped out anyway. And then it also saves fresh water, even if it is like a tablespoon or two. It does save water, and then it will add up. If I quit using, say, a tablespoon of water every day, that's probably a couple gallons every year. It seems very small, and it honestly really is, but our small changes have a big impact in the long run. So you don't have to do my weird tips if you don't want to, but I thought I'd throw them in here because they're literally so random. Next, on a similar note, is to save the water, the liquid from a can of chickpeas, and use it in vegan baking. It makes a really great egg substitute. What have I used it in? You can even whip it up to make meringue-like things. You can put it in cookies, in breads, in cakes, all that sort of stuff. If you're vegan and you've never heard of aquafaba, which is literally bean water, definitely look into it a little bit more. I'm not an expert on aquafaba and vegan baking. I find that it makes a very great egg substitute. So I've talked about recycling water before in a few videos, I think in this series as well as my water conservation video, but I have not talked about this tip yet, and that is when you steam vegetables or you steam seitan or anything else that you steam, save that water and repurpose it. You can either save it to steam your items again. I just like to use that water to water my plants. Once it's cooled down, don't pour hot water on your plants. It might hurt them. It's literally that simple. Same with noodle water. Save your noodle water too, because that is actually very nutritious for plants. Okay, we got a lot of food, a lot of plant tips coming up. And the next one is, if you still eat eggs, if you're not vegan, save your eggshells. Do not throw them away. They are so valuable. And by valuable, I mean they make a great fertilizer for your plants. If you crush them up real fine, almost to a powder, and sprinkle it on top of your plants, it makes a great fertilizer. Another great fertilizer for plants too is saving banana peels, letting them soak in water for a few days, pouring it out, straining it, and then putting it into a spray bottle, and that makes a great fertilizer for your plants too. Not only is this a free fertilizer for you, but it also gives banana peels a new life before you compost them or throw them away. Is if you already plan on drinking your tea or coffee cold, like cold brew, actually cold brew it. Don't waste time heating up water to steep your tea to put some ice cubes in it. Instead, just put your tea bag and your mug of water in the fridge overnight, and then when you wake up in the morning, you got iced tea, ready to go, cold brewed, delicious. You can do the same with coffee. Why bother wasting the time and energy to heat up your water just to cool it back down? And then you water it down anyway with ice. So if you want stronger, more delicious cold brew, actually cold brew it and not ice it. Ooh, this next tip, I love this next tip, is to ditch Google, ditch Safari, ditch all those other search engines and use Ecosia instead. I don't really know how it's pronounced. I hear so many different zero wasters pronouncing it differently. I'm gonna call it Ecosia. But if you have never heard of this before, it is basically a green search engine. And what it does is with every search, they plant a tree. I will leave a link to their about page linked down below. If you'd like to read more about them, they are a great company. I love everything that they do. And honestly, it works just as good as Google. You can get the free app on your phone as well as you can download the free extension on your computer. So all these options are free, so why not plant trees for free instead of using Google or anything like that? I love Ecosia. That's all I have to say. Use Ecosia. Next, if you have the option to opt for no receipt, do so. I know there are some places where I shop here and they just print one automatically, and it's really sad. But if they have an option like on the keypad, like no receipt please, definitely click no receipt. Especially in our age of digital banking, we don't really need receipts anymore. But now that really all of our banking is done online, you don't need to balance a checkbook, so therefore you don't really need to buy receipts. Unless you truly plan on returning the item, which why would you buy something if you're just planning on returning it? I don't know. The only instance I personally get a receipt is if I'm buying a gift for someone and they don't want it or they already have it, so that way that they can return it. Another tip that I learned growing up from my mom is to reuse gift wraps, bows, bags, all that sort of stuff. We had a box full of gift bags when I was growing up, and whenever we would have to give a gift to someone, we would go downstairs, ruffle through this box of bags, and then just pick a bag that we liked to give the gift in. We saved wrapping paper too if it was in good condition. This one's pretty self-explanatory. You obviously don't have to buy new product, therefore it's saving a lot of emissions, saving a lot of raw material from being extracted, and of course, it saves you a lot of money as well because gift bags and gift wrap are stupid expensive. The next tip, since saving gift wrap is a little difficult with all the tearing and stuff that might be involved, just use what you have instead. You can wrap gifts in newspaper and sheets of music and old books. Anything that's going to already end up being recycled, just use that as a gift bag instead. I have this paper bag that I got when I got takeout tacos. It makes a really nice gift bag too. So pretty much just use what you already have before buying brand new. Okay, if you don't mind going digital, go digital when it comes to taking notes. I personally love using Google Docs for notes because I can access it here on my phone. This is where I put all of my scripts in Google Docs. I type them up while I'm at work or while I'm on the desktop, And then that way I can just pull it up on my phone and use that instead. I like taking notes on a computer. I think typing is much easier than writing. So if you're the same and you like taking notes digitally, definitely take advantage of things like Google Docs. You can do this for school, for work, or in my case, I use them for scripts. But if you're not into that and you still like taking physical notes, use what you already have first, use recycled paper, and then buy new if you have to. Next is a traveling tip, and obviously flying isn't the most eco-friendly activity out there, but if you want to reduce your impact even just a little bit, use e-boarding passes instead of physical boarding passes. Unfortunately, a lot of the airlines here in Japan don't accept e-boarding passes, which drives me nuts. So they always make us print one off. But I know in the States, it's very easy to just be like, here's my boarding pass, scan. And the best part is, if you didn't know this, I just learned this recently. I might just be, a noob at technology. But when you get your email, your confirmation email, you click confirm, blah, 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 blah. When you hit like e-boarding pass, it sends it straight to your Apple Wallet, which is so cool. So then you don't even have to worry about saving the email or anything like that. It's just already downloaded to your phone. Let me know if it bothers you that these tips are all over the place. The next tip is if you have old coffee left in your pot, don't throw it out. Instead, pour it into ice cube molds. So that way, when you do want to make your iced coffee, say you forget to cold brew it one day and you want to make iced coffee, you can use coffee ice cubes instead. Of course, this repurposes your coffee instead of putting it to waste, and then it also prevents your coffee from getting watered down. So much better. If you've never tried this, definitely do it. The last tip for today is to repurpose the heel of a loaf of bread. I personally don't mind eating them, but if you're against eating the heel of the bread, put it to good use. Back when I was young, we would make cookies a lot. So we would put the heel of the loaf of bread inside the box of cookies to keep the cookies nice and soft instead of getting hard. This also works really great with brown sugar too. It keeps your brown sugar nice and moist instead of your brown sugar getting all hard and clumpy. And a bonus tip, because I like to include very weird bonus tips. I think it was part 2, Mochi ate a spider, and I was like, hey, instead of using Raid or something, just get yourself a cat, and your cat can be your exterminator. But anywho, this bonus weird tip is if you have a dog, let them lick your bowls and plates so you don't have to pre-rinse them. It saves a lot of water, honestly. Say for example, we have this bowl of spaghetti sauce. We would have to rinse it off slightly before putting it in the dishwasher. Instead, we just let our dog lick it so we can save water and then just put it right in the dishwasher. It's me from later. I was just going through all of the notes and the footage and I realized that I forgot a tip. So the tip, I'll just put it at the end. That tip is to save your coffee grounds and use those as a fertilizer as well. There's lots of fertilizer tips in this video. Or compost them, but don't put them in the trash. I hope that you enjoyed this video and I hope that you're liking this series. I personally really love it. I love brainstorming these things. It really pushes me to be creative and think about all the small things I do in my own life to reduce my own waste. Again, like I said, if you missed the first 4 videos in the series, definitely check those out for more really great tips for free, low waste living. And if you have any more tips that I have not mentioned yet in the series, definitely leave them down below. I'd love to include you in the next video. And like I already said, all videos mentioned in this video will be linked down below. I have so many great resources already created on this channel, whether it be more free ways to live low waste, recycling, conservation of energy and water, all that sort of great stuff. So I really encourage you to check those out. If you like this video and you found it helpful, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. And if you know anybody out there who is new to the movement and would love some free ways to live low waste, I'd really appreciate you sharing this video with others. All that stuff really does help support my channel and help support the message that I want to spread with this channel. That's all I have for today. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to watch this video and learn more about the zero waste movement. And until next time, remember that these small changes you make have a big impact in the long run. Bye guys. A gallon of water, that's probably an exaggeration. We'll call it like 2 quarts, I don't know, 4 cups. Is 2 cups 4 cups 2 quarts? I don't know. They're I even used to use Word docs back in the day. I'm so old. Back in the old days, like 7 years ago, we needed receipts to balance our checkbooks. I can't believe people are growing up these days and they don't have to learn how to balance a checkbook. I'm so glad for them though, that was a pain.